Hello, good afternoon everyone. I think this sounds all right to me. Can everyone hear okay? Brilliant. Well, a very warm welcome indeed. Pleased to see you all for what I'm sure will be a really entertaining and insightful question and answer session with one of the kings of the high street, Theo Paphitis. Theo has bought businesses, he's built businesses, he's started businesses. There isn't a lot that he doesn't know about retail. It's a real rags to riches story. Theo literally got off the boat, or was carried off the boat in Liverpool. He lived in Manchester in a house where still had an outside toilet, and he's become one of the most recognisable entrepreneurs of today. Famous for his appearances, of course, on Dragon's Den, and a fervent supporter of small businesses, including some here today at the Small Business Sunday section in this hall. So we'll touch on all of this, I'm sure, in the next 45 minutes, and then there will be plenty of time for you to answer, for you to put your questions to Theo as well. Let's just do a little bit of scene setting first, Theo. What is your reading of the retail business landscape at the moment? There's quite a lot of doom and gloom. There's a lot of uncertainty, whether it's Brexit or tough trading conditions. What is your take?
Thank you for that introduction, George. I think I was going to say tough, unforgiving. And then I was going to change it as you were talking. But I'm going to keep the tough, unforgiving still in there. But I'm going to add another word. Massively exciting and opportunistic. There was a time that legacy retailers, some of my businesses are legacy retailers, that one's been going for 150 years, one's been going for 125 years. So they've got legacy stuff, they've got properties, estates, all sorts of things. And once upon a time, it's very, very difficult to have anybody turn up and compete with you because the barrier to entry was huge. Loads of cash, loads of shops, loads of distribution. It was hard for a new retailer to come into the market. You can all now compete with me from your bedroom. In fact, you can reach even further than I can from your bedroom. And that's an opportunity that just did not exist before. So it's massively exciting for new entrants to the retail market, but it's also exciting for us old lags as well, because we've got to learn to change.
Because if we don't change, we're going to go the same way as Woolies, Comets, Maplin's, you name it, Toys R Us, all those well-known names that we all grew up with. House of Fraser going into receivership and be sold for 2 and 6pence. With all those big department stores. So there's a massive change going on. So it's tough, it's unforgiving, you've got to do your homework. You can't, I said all these opportunities are great, but you can't get those opportunities by sitting back, lighting up a cigar and putting your feet up. You've still got to work, but it's there.
Yeah. Let's just pick up on that idea of how all these people can compete with you from their living rooms these days. Do you think to an extent now that small is the new big? In the past, only the biggest companies had a chance of taking each other on. But I heard somebody use the phrase the other day, it was something like eaten by a million minnows. And what they meant was that unlike having to look out just for the sharks in the past, you had a whole new generation of small businesses that can all just take their bite out of that market, live very nicely, thank you, and that's a threat to some of the established names.
It is, and I've heard a similar analogy, slightly different. I mean, I remember when I was a kid growing up in retail, you used to hear about retailing in America. British brands have gone to America and failed because you're swimming with the sharks. and the shark will just gobble you up. Now there's thousands of bloody little piranhas around, and they'll take you apart. They'll just completely take every piece of meat out of your business. So it means that you've got to be agile. You've got to be aware. Take nothing for granted. You take your eye off the ball, you will be punished. Whether you're big or whether you're small, it doesn't really matter. You will be punished quickly.
And do you see any particular areas of business opportunity just now? You know, you've got interest and have had interest in all sorts of different categories. Is there anything that you think at the moment is very interesting?
No, but the excitement for me is I've always had a real massive interest in small businesses. I still consider myself to be a small business. That's how I started. SBS, Small Business Sunday, came about because I always remember on a Sunday night, I put the kids to bed and then I would go into my study. It was actually the room next to the best room. And I'd sit there at a desk and plan for Monday.
Right.
So Sunday was the first working day. But I would have to try and plan what I was going to do on that Monday, how I was going to attract more business, get more contacts, find new ways of getting my products out there. And now it's so exciting because you can actually do it on the web. You've got access to whatever you want. But saying that, it's massively complicated. And it's massively detailed. You have to be structured. You can't just think, oh, I'm going to put a website up there and I'm going to sit back and smoke a cigar and all these customers are going to come to me. You're going to have to look at your SEO. You're going to have to make sure, you're going to have to spend some money on marketing. You're going to give that Mr. Google some money. I hate doing it. But you're going to have to if you want to compete. So, but you have to plan, and it's every little detail makes difference. And that online business for me is about the detail. It's not about the 1% incremental business. It's about the 1/8, 1/16, 1/4. All that makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that online doesn't need to confront in the same way that bricks and mortar retailers do, of course, is business rates, which are such a massive burden on the retail industry. What would you like to see happen to address the problem of rates?
Well, that's a perennial question, isn't it? I mean, you can ask me, you can listen to me. Can you do anything about it?
Can you, or will the government of whatever colour just carry on regardless because they're never going to turn their back on that amount of
Consecutive
money?
governments just nod their heads. And by the way, they're brilliant when they're in opposition. They're so listening when they're in opposition. The minute they get into power, they suffer from deafness. They can't hear a word. In fact, your number disappears from their phone book. All of a sudden, they're all very important. And they've got things to worry about, like their careers. And they don't want to take a foot out of place. Governments haven't shown an interest because it's a tough job. Business rates started in the 1500s, and it was called the poor tax. And it was a way of raising money to help the poor. Well, surprise, surprise, there wasn't the bloody internet in the 1500s, was there? I can't remember seeing it on the corner of the street with a bloke with a bill, with a big tablet, saying, order your stuff here. The world has changed. The internet accounts for 20-25% of all retail sales now. But instead of taxing that 25%, the government have chosen to increase the taxes on the 75%, which is decreasing. And they're not taxing the piece of the cake that's increasing. Does that make sense to anybody? Anybody who understands business? You're just going to kill your customer off.
So you think there should be an Amazon tax, for want of a better phrase?
Do you know what? I'm going to say, I hate Amazon and I love Amazon. That's a fact. I use it. I think they're innovative. They show the way to the rest of us. But they do have an advantage. They're not paying the same level of taxation as the rest of us. And that can't be right. And it's not just Amazon. It's just other businesses as well that are structured in a way that doesn't make sense for the Exchequer. The Exchequer needs money. We've got a huge deficit, we've got social care problems, we've got police problems, we've got NHS funding problems, but instead of collecting money, we allow these people to wander around taking the money out of the United Kingdom and not paying any tax on it. Now, can anyone tell me why? No, neither can I. So, George, maybe you'll enlighten us.
No, better people than me, cleverer people than me don't know the answer to that one either. Let's just one more big picture question, and then we'll get on to some of the stories from your businesses. Brexit is looming, March next year. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. How concerned are you about the current lack of knowledge about where we're going, and what is your opinion as we sit here now about what turbulence Brexit might bring or may not?
Your call is as good as mine, George. I have no idea. I haven't got a clue. Sadly, neither have the people negotiating it. That's the problem. And they can't just go around saying, oh, the people, there was a democratic vote, they asked us to leave. They didn't say, leave at all costs, even if it means you're going to destroy the country. They didn't say, go and fight amongst yourselves for 1.5 years, then say, oh shit, we haven't done anything about negotiating Brexit. They didn't say, negotiate blindly and stupidly. No one gave them the mandate to do any of those things. But sadly, that's what's happened. We've had political parties that have been more concerned with their own internal agendas on both sides, by the way. And if there's any Lib Dems here, I'm sorry, I'm not including you in that because I don't know what planet they're on. But the other two certainly have been more interested in their own bitter feuding than looking after the rest of us. And I think that is appalling. So the answer is, I haven't got a clue, you haven't got a clue, none of you have got a clue, nobody's got a clue.
Okay, we'll turn now to things that you have more than a clue about. Let's hear a bit more about your own business career and story. As I mentioned at the beginning, you're from a very modest background, a humble background. I was amazed when I was reading your autobiography, some of the tales that you tell. Your dad was in a nightclub that got firebombed. It's a school of hard knocks in many ways. And that leads me to ask, do you think entrepreneurs are born or made, or is it something in between?
I honestly believe it's something in between. I think lots of things that happen in your life mold you into who you are today. But there's got to be something inside you that allows that molding to take place as well. So there's lots of things that happen that change the way you are. I'm a great believer in this. Your question really reminds me of football. Lots of people can become football players. So you got football players playing in non-league, semi-pro, in the National League, in League 2, League 1, Championship, and you've got Premiership players. So lots of people can be entrepreneurs at different levels and be incredibly happy and make a great living at different levels. So I think the vast majority of people have that within them, just at different levels.
Yeah. And what would you describe as your breakthrough moment in business, and what lesson would you draw from that?
Wow. George, I'm not going to say to you there is one. It's like the old question, how do you become a millionaire? How did you become a millionaire? Well, I never became a millionaire. You become a millionaire, I suppose, if you win the pools, you can be a millionaire. If you win the lottery, you can become a millionaire overnight. You can do it that way, but actually what you become is a £1,000 heir, £10,000 heir, a £50,000 heir, a £100,000 heir, a £200,000 heir, and then it goes, and then oh shit, you wake up one morning and say, oh, I've got assets of £1 million. I must be a millionaire. It doesn't mean a lot these days. That's like a bedsit in the outskirts of London. But yeah, business is the same. So don't just sit there waiting for that silver bullet that's going to give you that break that's going to get you there. It's likely to be lots of little things. You would have met somebody, spoken to somebody, seen a supplier who's recommended you to another supplier, and they'll be like 10 times removed. And you won't understand the value of that first contact until the value of that contact. And you say, well, that was my big break. Well, actually, your big break was down here somewhere, because that's what started the whole chain reaction. And for me, that all started from the ability of not having an ability to read fast and write fast, because I'm dyslexic. So I really couldn't get a job anywhere. So if I take it all the way back, if I could be academic and done my exams and went to uni, I might have been doing something totally different and been really successful.
And you, I think I'm right in saying you tend to carry something around in your wallet, and I'm not talking about money.
I always carry something.
Have you got that with you today, that famous?
No, I don't carry around much more these days. But I used to carry my very first retail job. I cut out an advert from the Evening Standard, as it was. Does it still exist, Evening Standard?
Yeah.
The Evening Standard, because there wasn't the internet then. If you needed to get a job, you either went to an employment bureau, or you went through the small ads in the newspapers. That's how you found jobs. And there was a job advertising for a sales assistant for Watches of Switzerland in Bond Street. And Mrs. P spotted it, and I'd just been relieved of my position at my second ever job because I was shit. Right, you have got to be an idiot. If you hire somebody to do filing who's dyslexic, and then you expect to find the files afterwards. And then you get upset and you fire them. I mean, it wasn't my fault. I think that person needs to take a good look at themselves and say they screwed up in the first place. So I did need a job. And this job was in the paper, so I went for my interview on a Saturday. Which is also a strange thing. I wasn't used to going for interviews on a Saturday, but shops are open on a Saturday. And the guy offered me the job there and there on the spot. A guy called Derek Jeeves, he was named. He's still alive and well and living in Brighton. Disgracefully getting old. It was really the beginning of my retail career and understanding about lots of things about the ways of the world. And retail, which retail's brilliant because it's got everything in it. You name it, whether it's logistics, whether it's design, whether it's visual, whether it's product, whether it's accounting, finance. Retail does it all. So you really get stuck into every part of business. And I often say, if you're a shopkeeper, you are a truly business person because you have to learn all these things for yourself.
So you're opening it up nicely for my next question. You've owned all sorts of businesses. Ryman, Robert Dias. You've still got those. Boo Avenue. Over the years, you've had things like La Senza, Contessa. What is your general approach to running a business? What are the things that are really important to get right, and what are some of the common mistakes that you've either done yourself and learned from or observed in other people?
Retail's about people. It's not all about product. This is the thing if people say, oh, it's retail's about product. No, it's about people. Two sets of people. People you work with, your colleagues, and your customers. We're not machines. Yes, we need products in between, whether it's lingerie, whether it's pens and pencils, whether it's hardware, whether it's selling vouchers. We sell products, and you've got to have what people want. But the bottom line is, it's about people. So it's making sure the people you work with do the job that you need them to do, and make sure that they are satisfied as much as you can be in the role that they're doing, because they will look after your customers. And the key thing then is to understand who your customer is and what is it your customer wants. Why are they going to shop with you online, in store? Why do they come and interact with you? What is it they want? And once you start understanding that, that's where you start going into your products. Because you could have the best product in the world, if it's not what your customers want, guess what? No one's going to buy it. So retail is so much about the interaction with people, which I love.
Yeah.
Both sides.
And you're hugely successful, but you've had setbacks along the way. What do you think was your biggest setback, and what did you take away from that experience?
Biggest setback back in the sort of 89, 90, when we had that massive recession. I remember going home. I'd done brilliantly by then. Bought this big off house, right, with electric gates, swimming pool, snooker room. I had the lot, and I just turned 30 or something. And I remember going home, driving through those big electric gates, parking the car, press the button, gates open, press the button, garage opens. I'm 30, remember. Park the car, Mercedes, press the button, door goes down. Go into the house, go into the kitchen. Mrs. P was feeding the kids in this huge kitchen that was bigger than all my family's houses put together. And I remember saying to her, do you like this house? And she said, well, it's all right. She wasn't that impressed, it happens. I said, oh, that's good. I'm glad it's not all right. Because I said, do you know we own it jointly? She says, yeah, I know we own it jointly. I said, no, we own it jointly with the bank. She said, go on. I said, it's got to go. That was it. I'd just been ousted from the company I'd been working at. Got home unemployed. Mortgage up to here. I had this house with everything you've ever dreamt of, or you thought you wanted. We were packing the following month. So that, for me, was probably the biggest sanity check that I needed about planning the rest of my life, and how I was going to do things going forward in business, not leaving myself exposed, not taking risks, not betting the farm, calculating the risks, making sure the baby's had its milk every single day, assuming bugger all from anyone, and questioning everything.
Yeah. And do you think, a lot of people in that situation might get just really dispirited and depressed. How did you stay resilient and bounce back? Was that just natural, like of spring coming back, or
I felt like shit. I mean, anyone who tells you otherwise is barking mad. I mean, it was awful. It was absolutely awful and life-changing in many, many ways. And you start thinking about different things in your life. It took a long time to accept it. But you have to accept it because it's reality. And I think it's that old saying, if it doesn't kill you, it should make you stronger.
Yeah. And what do you think a successful business should look like today? You were talking a moment ago about how important the people who work for you are. Today, there's a lot more discussion than there used to be in the past about diversity of all sorts. You've spoken in the past about sometimes having felt like a token ethnic in some places where you'd worked. You had dyslexia.
I like to be different.
So, what does a really contemporary company look like in terms of the sort of people who work there, the attitudes, the culture, that type of thing?
It's very, very different to when I started work. It's not about being chained to your desk. It's not about showing you're doing the hours. It's about working smartly and working where you need to work. It's not about just being visible with your colleagues. It is about output. It's about planning. It's about smart. And the word smart is going to figure so much more in our lives in the next decade or two, whether it's your smart home or your smart way of working, your smart living. You know, HS2, we talked about building this multi-billion-pound railway system to allow people from the north to come to the south to work. Well, actually, we don't want them to come to the south, do we? We want them to be able to work where they want to bloody live. So we need to have the tools and the environment set up which allows people to live in so many other brilliant parts of the United Kingdom. So we're spending billions of pounds on a train when really the easiest thing would have been to make sure there was fibre and broadband connections in every village, in every town, in every city, to allow people to be working, whether they're working from home or whether they're working locally, but it's about then the output. And I think that's going to be the massive difference. And we're going to find that it's like, back to SBS, it's finding affinity in groups of people that can work together, that can add to the richness of what they do, support what they do.
Yeah.
So we still need people. I'm not suggesting everybody works in isolation, because smart work is not going to be about just sitting in front of a computer. That's not what I mean by smart working. It's about being productive, reaching your customer, delivering your work anywhere in the United Kingdom, or actually anywhere in the world.
Yeah. I mean, some people think, when you're a successful entrepreneur, it may be entirely down only to you. And I wonder what your thoughts are on that. I think you've said in the past, after one place you work, everyone needs their bill, referring to a guy you work with. You've often had close confidants like Malcolm Cook at Ryman. What sort of people have you sought to work with, and how have you found the people that really complement what you can bring to the party?
I think you can't do it in isolation. I haven't built up my businesses on my own. I've worked with other people to build up the businesses. That's been the key part of it. That's where they've added to my business, to what I do. And it's never a one-man show. It's like, you know me, you know about the business, but it's the whole team. And I laugh about this. So many members of my team now are getting on a bit, because I'm getting on a bit. So when I think about how old I'm getting, imagine how old they're getting, and they're older than me. So it is about them bringing in the new. It's about working together, appreciating and supporting each other. Yeah. And that's been key. And everybody needs that. So we're talking about self-help, but groups of people and having understanding of how they're working together.
Yeah. And you're hugely wealthy and successful now. How do you make sure you stay grounded and don't sort of lose touch with ordinary life?
Live with my wife. Well, she is, so there you are. You've just been in a high-powered meeting, discussed massive deals, bought a company, sold a company, been on television, been on the news. You get home. What sort of time do you call this? Your dinner was ready 2 hours ago.
And in terms of business as well, quite often you see some really big names that lose their way. So you think of Marks and Spencer that's restructuring at the moment. You think of the problems at Tesco. They got where they were by being really in tune with consumers, and then they lost touch. When you bought La Senza, I think you described that as the one time when, somebody took on Marks and Spencer on their own territory, which was lingerie, and they were so divorced from reality that they didn't even know who Licenza was, and you wanted them not to recognize the name for as long as possible.
Yeah, no, I was it's complacency. I remember they had a supplier meeting, and one of the suppliers asked them, do you see a threat from Licenza? And the guy who was the head of their lingerie said, who's that? And we'd had about 40 shops open. And now, when they told me, they said, are you offended? I said, no, I'm not offended. I'm bloody ecstatic. Because if I'm not on their radar, that's bloody brilliant. Because they're not going to be able to damage me until I'm strong enough. And I think complacency in business is the biggest downfall. There's businesses out there, some of them still raising money, still doing CVAs, still raising money. And I promise you, they are going to go bust. They are going to go bust. No question, all they've bought is a little bit more time, because the management are complacent about what they are doing, their roles to exist. You've got to challenge why you exist. Why is someone going to do business with you? Why is a customer going to come by? Never, it doesn't matter how big you are. That's why some of the big boys that we've spoken about earlier, whether it's Woolworths, Comics, Maplins, you name it, why they've disappeared. Because the management thought they were invincible, that you owed them a living, that you would always go in their stores. Well, the world changes. You can watch Corrie now on one screen, have another little screen open and do your shopping. It's very easy to do, and it's only going to get simpler. So you've got to give the customer a reason to visit your business, whether it's online or in a high street. You've got to maintain them, make sure they come back, and just don't think about it's all about that one sale. It's not about the first sale. You should be more worried about the last sale. That's the one you should be worried about. And make sure it never comes.
So very many deals done over the years. I wondered, is there a deal that got away? Is there one that you either were working on that never quite came off, or one that in retrospect you think, oh yeah, I'd have liked to have had a go at that one?
I often say, not really, because I've got all the ones I'm mostly was after, but there's one I do regret, and it was never going to happen. So I was unrealistic about my ambitions. And that was probably, I can't remember when it was now, it was maybe 2008, and that was Woolworths.
Right.
Did a lot of work on that, really fancied it, thought I had a solution to its problems, and what I would do with it, knew exactly what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, it was more valuable dead than alive.
So you often see opportunity where other people only find problems.
Yeah, I mean,
just explain a little bit about, what you do when you get into a business. You might have bought it for £1 for the sake of argument. It's in that dire straits that someone takes £1 from you and says thanks very much, but you see the possibility of millions of pounds in there.
George, I think a lot of people say, oh, you must be brilliant at turning around businesses. Actually, that's not where I think I've done well. I think I've done well in identifying and buying those businesses. That the first deal is where, if you get the first deal wrong, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are, you will screw up. It's the first deal that matters, and that is the acquisition. If you get the acquisition structure right, then you've got a chance. Yeah. And then you've got to understand, has a business got a reason to exist? When I bought Ryman, that's got to be now 25 years ago nearly, 24, 25, coming up to 25 years ago. I mean, I remember trying to raise the money to buy it because I didn't have the money. And I was walking around the West End and the city seeing private equity, banks, you name it. And the same story was coming through. It's the world of the paperless office. This is 25 years ago. Nobody's going to want stationery. There's no future for stationery. Well, 25 years later, we're still doing really well and making good profits.
We're still waiting for the paperless office as well.
Exactly. It's not going to happen. We just have got to change the things that we're selling. I mean, we were selling in those days fax rolls. Anybody remember what fax roll was? It was a thermal paper that you just put in a fax machine. Now you sell plain paper. We used to sell ribbons for typewriters. Now you sell cartridges. So technology changes, but you've got to buy your stuff from somewhere. So it's understanding your business and what its reason to exist, and will it have a customer base. And the most difficult situation is now, well, will it have a customer base, or will the customer base be online? And if it's online, who am I then competing with? Am I competing with every single person in this room? Is everybody going to be able to supply that product? If they are going to be able to, I'm in trouble. Because it's a race down to the bottom as far as price is concerned. So it's understanding your product and what the future of that product will be.
Yeah. Obviously, today there is loads of restructuring going on in retail. The market's really shifting. A lot of businesses have hit the buffers and are up for sale. Most recently, you mentioned it earlier, House of Fraser. Did you take a look at House of Fraser? Is that the sort of business that
No,
could
House of
interest you?
Fraser was something I always loved. But I fell out of love with it about 5 years ago, because I've still got a problem with this one. And just hear me out. I used to love department stores. I used to spend forever in department stores. And the great thing about department store, you went in there, didn't matter if it's pissing down with rain outside, snowing, really cold, really hot, you were in one building and they had the department for everything. So you can do all your shopping under one roof. You can find everything, whether it's men's fashion, women's fashion, perfume, furniture, food, bloody brilliant. But there is now this thing called the virtual department store. And the virtual department store is on a tablet, or is on a computer screen, it's on your phone. You've got that consolidation happening. So then you've got to ask yourself, what is the reason? Why people who own department stores now have got to make clear the reason why somebody is going to go there, when a lot of the stuff that's in that store is quite clearly available somewhere else, closer to home. So they've got to discover that magic that will get you to get off your sofa or compromise your other leisure activities, spending time with your family, doing other things, going to restaurants, going to cinema, doing whatever you want to, watch TV, watch the football, all these things that you'd rather do than go and walk around a department store.
And in the case of House of Fraser, again, obviously there's been a lot of focus on the relationship between retailer and suppliers. A lot were left out of pocket by the former owners of House of Fraser. You know things from both sides, all sides. What to you makes a supplier-retailer relationship successful? What are your rules?
Well, it's very simple. Without suppliers, retailers can't exist. And without retailers, unless suppliers are going to go direct to the customer, they can't exist. So you've got to have a situation where you both accept you've both got to make money. The retailer's got rent, rates, service charges, staff costs, marketing to pay for. So there's no point saying to the retailer, I'm going to let you just have 10% or 20% margin. It ain't going to work. Not in the high street when you've got all those costs. So, but at the same time, everyone's got to make a living. And it's not about the race to the bottom. That means selling something for the cheapest price. Because if we start thinking that the only way we're going to sell anything is for the cheapest price, there'll be always somebody who will have a reason to undercut you today. And there'll be someone who's going to undercut them tomorrow. So you have to have that long-term relationship where you support each other. And then, for instance, the suppliers in Ryman and Robert Dyes, I believe we've got a good long-term relationship because we give them a window in the high street a window to the public where they can see their products on the shelves. And that's what physical retail can do. You're their showroom. People can see their product.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to spend a shitload of money on marketing elsewhere as well. So it's about supporting each other.
Okay, I want to make sure there's plenty of time for questions from the audience. So we can open it up now. Slightly dark, but if you stick your hand up, if you would like to ask a question, and we'll send a microphone over. So a lady there, then gentleman here, and another lady behind.
Hello, hi. Hi Theo, I'm Dee Worrell. I'm a commercial photographer, Copper and Wild, and an SBS winner. I met you in February. Do you ever just stand back and look at what you've done, and you ever humbled by it? Because everyone has to start from somewhere, and everyone says don't forget your roots, but do you ever just think, holy shit, look at what I've done with my life? And do you appreciate what you've done?
I think everybody does. I mean, you have waking times where you think, yes, you know, I've come a long way. I've achieved what I've achieved. You think of the bad times, some that I mentioned earlier on, or as a kid. But the reality is, there's always somebody who does it a lot better than you. And I think there's just so much you still always want to do. And there isn't time to sit back and say, wow, look at me, the boy done well. Well, the boy done well, and I don't get out of bed in the mornings because of the money. I could have stayed in bed a long time ago. The money is a scorecard. My accountant does the numbers at the end of the year, and you pay your tax, you get a pat on the head, the boy done good. It's a scorecard. You've got to love what you're doing, enjoy what you're doing, the passion about what you do. And a lot of people here today running their businesses are passionate about what they do. And if I didn't do what I did, I wouldn't do anything. I don't know what I would be doing. Probably time. So, you know, it's enjoying what you do in life. And yeah, you can remind yourself many, many times about what we've all achieved, but that's not why I do what I do. I do because I get excited about whether it's just talking to small businesses, whether it's seeing people grow. I get just as much of a kick seeing somebody I've helped on the way grow than I do by growing my own business.
Thanks. Yeah. Hi. Oh, sorry. I thought you had the mic.
Where this is the economy run, well, you got one microphone.
Hello, Theo.
Hi.
I've admired you for years watching Dragon's Den. It's an honour to talk to you.
What's your name?
My name's Shana Ali. I've started my own company. I used to be a flavourist, but I've taken a direction change.
Used to be a?
Flavourist.
Flavorist?
So I make flavour compounds by mixing different chemicals.
Well, you don't meet many of those, do you?
But I'm even rare now. I make mindful water now. So I make a water bottle, I weld silver onto it and gemstones. The gemstones symbolize an emotion. So it's touch it, think it, drink it. So what I do, one sec. Can you just press record on it?
You've got 30 seconds.
There's an advert going on here.
This is a gift. This is a gift for you.
And then,
so when you want to feel love, when you're thinking of Mrs. P, press it, touch it, think it, drink it. Mindful water.
Mindful water.
So my question is it going to work?
It says balance.
It is. So all of them symbolize different emotions. So balance of those emotions. One's for mental clarity, one's for creative. You're feeling a bit creative, lacking a luster in the boardroom, press the creativity on. Think about when you were creative.
So this is for me. Sorry,
That is
where
for you,
everyone's
yeah.
got where everyone in my meetings, everyone has their plastic water bottles now, don't they? They go everywhere with their plastic water bottles. What am I going to look like when I put that down? I'm going to be very special.
You are.
Thank you very much.
Do you want the box?
Although I
take
guess
the
they're
box.
looking for alternatives to plastic, so that might be one good thing.
Can I shake your hand?
Good. You can. Well done.
Cheers. Thanks.
you.
Lady over there. Right. Good chutzpah for making the pitch, but please, everyone, don't do that,
No
or
more
otherwise
pitches.
there'll be no time for any more questions.
Hi, I'm Tiffany. My question is about people, and what advice would you give to a small business in creating a culture that attracts and retains the best people?
Everyone's got to be part of the growth plan in a small business. It's very difficult in a small business because there's only one man and a dog, or 2 people, or 3 people. But at the end of the day, it's about enjoying the experiences together and make sure that people share in the upside of the business. It's very, very... as George said earlier about some of the people I've met, it's been very difficult for me to achieve what I've achieved without other people. You can't do it on your own. So it's about incentivizing, enjoying the time with them. For instance, I've been doing this for over 20 odd years, 25 years. I've been taking, I take 100 to 150 people every year away for a week. So we've been all around the Caribbean, Mediterranean, you name it. That's normally my top 100 store managers, 130 store managers, and 20 odd people from head office. And all they need is their passport, because I give them a big bag full of clothes, and we go to an all-inclusive place. And there's a reason for that, because if we've all got the same clothes, no one's worried about what they've got to wear. And if you're a store manager earning 25 grand a year, or you're a head office person, a director of buying that could be earning a lot more than that, it can be quite intimidating. Also in the bar, who's going to buy the drinks? You want everybody to be able to buy a drink. And those things that I've been doing for like God knows how long now, every year we have gone somewhere, so if they hit their targets, we set targets in October, and they've got to do it between October and January. If they hit the targets, they get the bad news is they get on a plane with me for a whole bloody week. They get paid for that week. It doesn't count as part of their holiday. We cover their stores for them, and it's full inclusive. They don't have to pay for a thing when they get there. So they can sit in the bar with me till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and buy me a drink and not worry about it. It's the best information. It's the best bonding. It's the best part of my business. By a long chalk, always has been. It's not very overcomplicated. It sounds like you just gone on a jolly for a week, and the taxman about 15 years ago declared it was a jolly and made me pay tax on it. And I said, bollocks, I'm still going to do it. I'm going to pay the tax then. If you think that's a jolly, I don't think it's a jolly, because it's part and parcel of our work and getting to know everybody, finding out about the business. But I wasn't going to stop it. So I said, fine, we'll pay tax on it. So we now pay the tax on the benefit in kind on it. But things like that you can one start thinking as a waste of money, or it's only tiny. It means so much. That time with the people that you work with, and the understanding of what they've got to do, will make a difference between your business and somebody else's business.
Right towards the back there. And is there anyone over on this side? Yeah, right over on the far side afterwards, please. So, yeah.
Hi, crikey. Hi, Theo. My name is Rupinder Drew, and I'm from the Leicester College Peter Jones Enterprise Academy. So we've got a couple of our students here today, and they're just starting their first term studying a course on how they can set up and run their own businesses. What sort of top tips would you give them as to how they would go about coming up with a business idea and developing it?
Right, tip number 1. Don't sit in the bath waiting, because you're going to shrivel up. You all know what I'm talking about, don't you? Eureka? Waiting for that eureka moment as you sit in the bath. That's not how it works. Get your backside out of the room. Walk around, open your eyes. It's very rare that people come up with unique ideas or ideas that are original. I've never had an original idea. I normally steal other people's. I just do it a lot better than them. I've had all my inspiration, as it's inspiration it's called now, by walking around, traveling, seeing things, and saying, well, that looks good. Well, why is it done like that? Because it's always been done like that. Yeah, well, it might have been fine to do it like that 20 years ago, but wouldn't it be brilliant if you did it like this today? And all of a sudden, you have a new project. You have an original idea. So the answer is go out, open your eyes, have a good look. Don't hang around in the bath because you'll just shrivel up. And it's not good for the boys.
Okay. And then there was someone right on the, lady in the, I think, red top.
Hi Theo, it's Nikki from Border in a Box. Thank you so much for the exhibition space. It's really kind of you to help us out. But my question for you is, you've done all these amazing things, but what's in the next step for you?
I bloody don't know. Do you know, I'm in exactly the same boat as we're talking about earlier, but the students starting in the Peter's Enterprise Academy. You start every day is an exciting day. So I like to get out and about. I like to go and talk to people. I like to see new ideas because I get just as excited, in fact, more excited when I see something new. I think, gosh, I could do that, and I would do it like this. So I'm looking, and I'm not going to go into your sector. You're fine. That's not my strong point. But it's got to be something that that tickles me, that gives me that kick, and I've got a passion about. So I'm still looking every single day.
Right, yeah. Right down at the front here, and then up towards the left, back left. Thanks. Can you just stick your hand up again? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ronak. I sell clothing online, and about probably 80% of our sales come up through Amazon. Then the idea is we want to try and get our own website, sales coming through our own website. Do you think there's still a chance for small businesses to launch their website and be successful, or is Amazon just too big?
No, you've got every chance. Listen, Amazon do what they do, and I said to you, I hate them and I love them. They show you the way, and you should never be frightened at all, because what you need to do, it's a way of getting customers. What you need to do is have a product that your customers want, and a unique product, something different. If you're just going to sell me, I mean, this is unique, very different. I don't know how successful it's going to be at all. There you go. But bugger me, he's an irritating so-and-so. But actually, that's what you have to be in business sometimes. You've got to persevere. You've got to be cheeky. You've got to grab the opportunity. You can't just say, oh, Amazon, that's it. If I had said that about Marks and Spencer's and lingerie, I would have thrown the towel in, or thrown the bra in that case. You can't, you should use it as inspiration, not as a reason not to do. Yes, there's competition. That's fine. You're never going to do anything where there isn't competition. Make sure that you've got something different to sell. What do you sell? Clothing. What sort of clothing? Winter stuff. So what do you do in the summer? Plan for the winter. Try and plan for the summer in the winter as well, and then do both things at the same time. That could be helpful. But so don't worry. There's always somebody going to be bigger. I said that earlier. Someone's going to be bigger than you out there. Someone's going to do something better than you out there. Someone's going to be more successful than you out there. Just strive to be the best that you can be. Well, why don't you have your own website? But that's because you've got to drive traffic to it. So you then need to drive traffic, so you've got to get eyeballs. That's the hardest thing. Any half-wit can build a website. I've met them. I employ loads of them. That's what I keep telling them when they ask for a pay rise every 5 minutes. Guys, amazing. It's another job I should be doing. But the point is, anybody can build a website. The trick is driving traffic to your website, relevant traffic, eyeballs, people that you want to see your product. That's what you've got to try and concentrate on.
Okay. We've got the last question here.
Hi Theo.
My name's Gemma. I've come all the way from Kenya just to get sort of inspiration and ideas.
You
for
came from Kenya?
Yeah. No, I was actually on holiday, but I've also come here afterwards.
Oh, you don't live in Kenya now?
No, I do live in Kenya now.
You do live in Kenya?
Currently, I'm talking to you. Yeah. No, I do live in Kenya, and I've got a little small business out there. So it's so inspiring to come here and just sort of see the products out there and what I can do, and all these talks have been absolutely amazing.
Whereabouts in Kenya are you?
Just outside Nairobi.
Okay.
Yeah. So welcome to come out.
Oh, I do visit.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh. Back to here. Just a bit of advice on for small businesses. At what stage do you go from growing organically and then going out and asking for investment? You know, my business has grown organically, and it has done for a few years, and I've sort of had another job just to keep it going, so I'm not having to sort of drain that company of all the money. But at what stage do you say, actually, I now need to grow, I need to go to the next step, shall I go out and get investment? Or do you just continue as you are, growing organically?
There is no magic answer to that. Every business is really different. I think the question you've got to ask yourself in honesty, if I gave you £100,000 today, it might not be relevant, it might need $1 million, or you might need 10,000, I don't know. But let's just pick a number. If I give you £100,000 today for part of your business, what would you do with it? And what certainties have you got, or confidence, there's no such thing as certainty, confidences have you got that you could spend that £100,000 and the percentage of the business that you've either given in return for that £100,000, or the risk of, so the security, if you've borrowed the money from the bank, what's the risk-reward ratio on what you're going to do with that £100,000? If I give you that £100,000, you can say, Theo, I'm going to give you example, 10% or 20% of my business. But by you investing that £100,000, it makes the other 80% worth twice what your old 100% was worth. Then it sounds like a good deal, doesn't it, for you? If, on the other hand, it doesn't, and the numbers don't add up, then you don't need investment. And not every business is scalable, by the way. Some businesses are just lifestyle businesses. And that shouldn't be a problem for any of you in this room, or anybody who's in a lifestyle business. Because if you can run a business around your life, the things that you want to do and get the best of both worlds, that's also brilliant. But not all businesses are scalable, and not all businesses are investable. So, you know, if your business just relies on you, then it doesn't work, because you can't cut you up and duplicate you.
Okay, thank you. We have to draw things to a close now, so all that remains to do is thank Theo again for coming along today. The dragon himself, no fire breathing, I'm glad to say, but lots of good advice. Thanks very much.
Thank you, George. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Well done.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you could put your hands together once again for both George MacDonald and Theo Paphitis.